Welcome to Higgins Keto Blog Day 16. Today we had some, it wasn't really that eventful. We actually had what we would call probably a good keto day. We did find definitively that my wife was having reactions to the stevia.
Yes.
And we found that definitively at dinner time.
Right. Well, just after dinner.
Right. So please explain how you were feeling all day and then.
Yeah. So all day, essentially, I was perfectly fine until I decided I was going to have a piece of cheesecake. The cheesecake that I had made, that was made specifically out of the stevia, and stevia in the raw. And it was afterwards that my belly just started, I had nausea and I felt bloated to the point where I needed to take Tums, which I hadn't felt that way, the bloated part needing the Tums in quite some time, mainly because there is one carb per Tums. But anyways, aside from that, after we had eaten and I had taken the Tums, and of course I did the whole oh my belly thing, which really irritates my husband, but we all do.
She says it all the time.
Whatever. That it was while we were walking around the home goods store, that I just instantly became dizzy. And of course my husband said, well, it was because of the stevia. Well, I'm thinking something that I added. And I'm like, I didn't have any stevia. And he's like, babe, the cheesecake. I'm like,
it's got a lot.
Right. So the cheesecake was really, really tasty, but that was that for me.
Right.
No more, because I literally was fine all day and that literally was the first time all day that I had the stevia. So dizziness and headache and nausea.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so we definitively found that out. So hopefully we can cut it completely out of hers. I think we're supposed to get the monk fruit in a day or two. So she will probably have to go without sweetener until then.
Which is fine.
Right. So we'll just, hopefully she recovers quickly. She doesn't have to go through the detoxes of the stevia. And we'll go from there. The other thing we want to talk about today is, from our standpoint, and we've seen all these other people who said, you know what, you have to have this, you have to have this. These are our staple go-to items for being keto. Okay, the things that we always have to have on hand. Obviously, with the fats, you got to have butter. Have to. I mean, you got to have butter on hand because you're going to be cooking a lot with butter. You got to have olive oil. You got to have the.
We'll go back to the butter a moment,
okay,
because he made the statement that I used the good butter.
Yes.
So we have to buy the good butter, the grass-fed butter, right, along with the regular butter, so that when we are cooking with items to where we're not really too concerned about getting that high content of fat, and simply because the recipe calls for butter, then we would use the regular store-bought butter.
Right. Well, I had just bought, I'll tell you why that came up. I had just purchased 2 more blocks of the grass-fed butter, which was $3.68 per block. Okay. So it brought us back up to 3 blocks. She made the cheesecake, which brought us back down to 1 block.
I did not use that much butter.
You used a lot of butter. Anyway.
The recipe called for like 3/4 cup of butter.
That's a lot of butter.
It wasn't 2 sticks.
It was almost 2 sticks.
It was not.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, the point being, that's expensive cheesecake, especially for homemade. Okay.
And the fact that it also caused me to be dizzy and
Right.
bloated.
So it was kind of like, okay, we just spent a ton of money for something that made her sick. Um,
See, it's a good thing we're telling you about this because you can learn from our mistakes.
So we need to buy the cheaper. I mean, we still want to buy whole butter. You never want margarine or crap like that. Okay, you still want butter. Okay, but you want to buy a cheaper butter if you're planning on making things like cakes, cheesecakes, yakety schmackety, blah blah blah. And then save the grass-fed butter for when you're cooking in a pan and or whatever, what I'm saying, because it's not cheap. And last time I checked, money still doesn't grow on trees. At least the trees in our yard, no, they're not growing any money right now.
If money grew on trees, we wouldn't have trees.
Right. Right. Anyway, so there's that. You got to have butter. The oils, you have to have olive oil, canola oil. They've mentioned coconut oil, but we're not real big coconut fans. I know the coconut oil doesn't technically taste like coconut, but it's just that whole. We're still.
We have it,
right? We have it,
use it,
and we use it, but we're still wondering whether the MCT, which is coconut oil,
right,
is affecting her as well. So play with that as you will.
Right.
And then of course,
such an oddball. My poor husband.
Everything affects her. So we have to look at that. And listen, there's a lot of people out there with different types of allergies, different types of food allergies, different types of this, that, yakety, smackety. You're going to have to deal with your food allergies or the allergies to certain items as you go through this, because it's going to limit or unlimit your, your pool of things to draw from in your diet.
Right.
Meats, you need to have fish. Okay. Salmon, and of course we told you about the amberjack, which is awesome.
Right.
You need to have fish, and it has to be wild caught. Okay, don't do any of this farm raised crap. If it doesn't say wild caught on the package, do not buy it. Okay, or better yet, like us, we now have a fishmonger. Okay, we can just go to the the fish market and just get our fish, so we know it's wild caught. So we have that. Meat. Now, this is the one diet that you can say this about. It doesn't have to be lean.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Don't have to worry about lean.
Yeah,
cuts.
Preferably no lean. So get your cuts. Get portions if you can. I know this is more expensive, but unless you're going to sit there and weigh everything out like I do, okay, you can buy it pre-portioned. Okay, in the packages, just look at the package, how it's on there, and then there you go. You can figure that out. Or you can do sometimes like we do, because I do weigh stuffs now that I got her scale working, where I'll actually cut it into the perfect size, and that way it's already pre-portioned, and I package it up and do it throughout the week that way. Because we don't like to pre-make our meals, but I do pre-portion the meals. So the other day when we were talking about people that meal prep, okay, where we don't like to cook our meals ahead because she thinks it's gross. I do pre-portion, okay? So at least it's portioned out for us, which actually makes great. By the way, one of the things I bought on Amazon was a patty maker for hamburger, okay? So you literally get 3.5 ounces of meat, roll it into a ball, stick it in there, press it down, it makes a perfect hamburger patty. So I even patty out the burgers that we're going to be making ahead of time, pre-package them for meals. And it works that way. So for meats, just make sure everything is wild caught or fresh. They usually say, okay, if you can get grass-fed beef and things like that, crap's expensive. Okay, we buy it when we can.
It is expensive.
We buy it when we can.
Well, and it didn't help matters that we had bought the grass-fed beef.
Right.
And it was pre-packaged.
Right.
From Sam's.
Right.
And somehow or rather, there was a hole.
So one side of it
was bad.
Was bad.
Yeah.
So we spent that money on that, and only half of it was good.
Right.
Yeah, so check your packaging. That's all I can say, especially if you're going to be putting it in the fridge for a while. Okay, just check your packaging.
My husband noticed that, the red dye was leaking out. Which I even told him, mind you.
I was thawing so many things in the fridge, I just assumed it was from something else.
Explain it to him.
Okay. She is right, I'm wrong. Put it on your calendar.
I know, right? Let's document this.
It is documented. It's in the video. All right. So that pork chops, loin, that type of thing. Tomorrow night for dinner, I'm actually going to be taking and segmenting up a pork loin that I bought, and I'm actually going to take part of that and put it in the oven all day, and with some seasonings, things like that, and I'm going to make pulled pork. Now, granted, we're not going to have barbecue sauce, but it's still
bread,
right? Or bread, but it's still pulled pork. Okay, so pork could be a friend because it's got fat. Okay, different things like that. Now, I would have lamb, except for my wife doesn't like lamb.
No.
So
lamb is the other gray meat.
Lamb is awesome. Okay. Anyway, I digress. But things like that. Make sure you keep plenty of meat on hand. Seasonings. Okay. You're going to want to season your food.
Well, and along with the seasonings, you really need to pay close attention to the nutritional value of the seasonings, because there are some seasonings that actually are high in carb content.
Right.
I do believe cinnamon is one of them.
No, cinnamon has 0 carbs.
Are you sure?
Yes, because I checked it out online.
Okay. Well, all that aside, you need to pay close attention to, the carb count. And I think for the most part, that really is the only piece that you have to take a look at.
Right. I mean,
the carb count.
And here's the thing too. Don't go cheap on your spices. What I found out is that the lower end spices, the reason why they have a lot of carbs is because they use fillers. And it'll actually list it right on the side of the package, fillers used. And then there'll be a carb count. When you look at the ones that have no fillers, there's no carbs. Okay. And now granted, it's going to say 0. I guarantee you there's carbs in it. But if it says 0, that means there's less than half a carb in a serving of the seasoning. Okay, that's pretty much what I gathered.
I have gone to the dollar store and I've bought seasonings before. So.
Yeah. Don't go cheap on your seasonings. Okay, we found some stuff, especially that Parmesan seasoning we found. It's absolutely awesome. We have a seasoning store that was in St. Petersburg that we picked some stuff up from.
That we can order from.
Yeah, we can order online.
And so can you, actually.
Yes. So, find things where you can get good quality seasonings. And, of course, last but not least, vegetables. Okay? Vegetables are important. Okay? That's where you're going to get the majority of your solid carbs.
Right.
Okay? When we do a salad, we do the spring mix. Okay? The leafy stuff. All right? And 3 cups of spring mix lettuce, which we do 3 cups when we have it. Okay? 3 cups is 3 carbs. So a carb per cup. Okay?
And baby spinach obviously is going to have a higher carb count. So,
but you can use it as a filler with different things.
Absolutely.
Okay? But you don't want any... One of the rules of keto is that you cannot have any vegetable that grows under the ground. Nothing that's a fruit or a flowering plant, or something like that. I can't remember exactly.
Well, just keep in mind, the more colorful the fruit or the vegetable, the higher the carb count.
Right.
Now
some people do have strawberries with whipped cream as a dessert, which is perfectly fine as long as you're not eating this many.
Well, and again, keep in mind that the majority of what we're saying to you, it's based upon really the carb count.
Right.
But it depends on you whether or not you decide to count total carbs, which is what we do, or net carbs,
right.
which eventually when we get to the maintenance stage,
that's what we'll do.
That's what we'll do.
We're just trying to be strict on ourselves right now so that we don't make the mistakes.
Right.
Because with the research, it's very easy to make a mistake. And here's the thing too. You can allow yourself a little extra something, but you have to take it away from something else.
Right.
So if you want that little bowl of strawberries with the whipped cream as a dessert, okay, you just have to make sure. This is the reason why we say you have to track what you're eating. Because
every single carb adds up.
Yes.
The moment you begin tracking what it is that you eat,
you'll find out.
You'll be amazed.
Did a slice of bread, a single slice of regular bread,
white bread, by the way,
has 14 carbs.
No. Yes, because the serving size is two slices for a total of 28 grams.
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and even the wheat bread that we bought out there for the kids, one slice has 13 carbs.
So you can begin to see how carbs add up. I mean, typically on, a day-to-day diet, I think it's anywhere between 75 to 100 grams of carbs that, is considered moderate for a healthy individual.
Right. And when I actually wrote down what I was eating, because I said, you know what, I'm going to go back and just see how many carbs. I haven't told this to my wife yet.
Oh, wow.
I want to go back and see just how many carbs I was eating. And just go through a standard average day of what I would eat on a regular day, right? So I started playing with it, started going through the numbers, and we found what is that from? Where we get all the information from again? The nutrition information. That's the MyFitnessPal nutrition area. So I started typing it in. I'm not going to ask you to guess because you're going to see the video after the fact. But it was over 300 to 500 grams of carbs a day.
Oh my word. Well, you know what? I'm not surprised because when we would go to Red Lobster, he would get a Caesar salad, no dressing, and 3 biscuits. Automatically, he'd break up onto his salad.
Right, because
and still eat a biscuit.
Right.
Because that was his version of croutons.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they didn't have Italian dressing. Okay, and by the way, I don't care who says it, red wine vinaigrette is not Italian dressing. All right? Get over yourselves. Red wine vinaigrette is not Italian. It needs to be Italian dressing.
And when I tell you my husband is rude, when somebody suggests that he eat a salad dressing other than Italian, he's rude.
It doesn't exist on this planet.
Yes. I told him he needed a flask where he could put his precious Italian dressing
and take it with me. That's right.
Yeah. You're like, well, he's getting the sauce out.
Yeah. I just down Italian dressing, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, but yes, I ate a lot of bread. I ate a lot of food that had carbs.
Ice cream.
Oh, ice cream was I am an ice cream nut. Okay. I'd sit down and I could eat a quarter of a gallon of ice cream in a sitting. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And, brownies, cookies. She'd make them. I'd eat them.
Well, I like brownies, but I could, typically eat one and I'm good until the next go round.
Cheez-Its.
Oh, yes.
I love the Cheez-Its. Okay. Chips.
Oh, the peanut butter filled pretzels.
Oh, those things are so good. But every single one of these things are carbs, okay? Yeah. So, yeah, you can see how this quickly builds up, especially if you're just sitting around, because I work from home. So I sit there on my computer all day long and I snack, or I used to.
Graze.
So it's like I just graze all day, and I was probably putting that down anywhere from on a good day, probably 5,000 calories.
Oh my
On a bad day, it was probably closer to 8.
I'm just, wow.
It was, no wonder I flew up to 226, you know? And that was even with working out and everything else that I was doing. You know? I mean, I was going out and bike riding and, you know, and everything else, and I'm gaining weight. You know? It happens. So.
With my husband, there was one day he was having such a hard time. He said to me, well, you know, I have you. I can just continue eating.
Well, because you know, my philosophy is this: who am I trying to impress? I've already got you.
And I said, baby, I need for you to be heart healthy. That does not entail eating 8,000 calories, and you know.
Right. I like food,
and
I love to cook, and of course, flavor is the name of the game when I cook.
Yeah. So. He is a militant when it comes to making sure that he has eaten every single macro that he possibly can. He's just, okay, so what can I have for a snack?
Because I enjoy food.
Oh, it's going to be wild when we can go on the maintenance. He's not going to know what to do with himself when he can have, 50 grams of carbs. Net carbs.
Right.
Which means,
I bet I will be able to come up with a lot more recipes at that point. Right. In order to make some really good tasting stuff. That's why I'm sitting here going, you know what? I got half a mind to write a cookbook when we're done at this, because there's probably some people out there suffering, sitting here going, I got to eat another cold dish with nothing. And it tastes bad? No, it doesn't have to taste bad.
Right. Never mind that there are tons of individuals before us that have written keto cookbooks.
Yeah, and they all suck.
So he believes that his won't. That actually could be the title. Yeah. This one doesn't suck.
Right. I like that. I like that a lot.
The other cookbooks are crap.
Yeah. So make sure you keep plenty of that. One of our staples that we go to, if I finish out the vegetables here, one of the staples that we go to, I know we got off topic there. We keep a lot of broccoli and a lot of asparagus. The asparagus I fry in butter and olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic, and toss it, and it's good. It
has to be crispy, or I won't eat it.
She doesn't like floppy crap. Okay, and the
I like it really firm.
Oh my Lord! And the broccoli.
I'm tired. We need to wrap this up.
The broccoli, I either serve it hot, steamed with seasonings, or I will chop it up and make a stir fry out of it with the meat. But on that note, I'm going to get my wife out of here because she's being really bad. But you guys have a great night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Night.
Night.